few moments ago, we heard the wailing siren of the National Emergency Readiness Day throughout Israel. Sirens were sounding, and the instructions from the IDF Home Front Command were for every single Israeli, whether at school, at work, at home, or shopping, to go immediately to their secured room, to their bomb shelter, or to their above-ground life shield shelter. Well, this usually busy shopping center in Gilo was totally emptied right at the time of the siren, as you saw, as people either hid. We hid under a concrete staircase because I absolutely couldn't find a shelter anywhere around here. So I know from experience that the best and safest place is to be under a concrete structure. So I just went under a staircase because there was no other choice. But clearly everybody else, knowing that there were no other choice, stayed home or went into their offices where they could seek shelter. So the place was totally empty. People are starting to fill up now. They're starting to come back. They're doing their shopping. The post office is behind me. There's a drugstore here. There's a lottery ticket store here. People are starting to crawl back into the area and do their shopping. But as I say, moments ago, when the siren went off, it was totally empty of anybody as people practiced what would be a scenario for a massive rocket attack against Israel. And this idea isn't some fictional dream-like idea. The reason we do this every single year is to practice and to learn from the practice. I'm going to be tomorrow, Thursday, up in the northern part of Israel, sitting with strategic officers of the Home Front Command, and we'll be talking about Operation Life Shield as one of the more important strategies for what's called passive defense. And I will fill you in on that meeting, at least on the information that I am allowed to share. Well, this entire experience really reminds me of an important teaching of a great rabbi, a Hasidic rabbi from the 1700s, known as Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman of Uman, or Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. But Rabbi Nachman had a very important message for not only his time in the 1700s Europe, but also for our time today. And he said, Kol, in Hebrew, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar ma'od v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, which means the whole entire world is like a very narrow bridge. But the idea is not to be afraid. What does this mean? Try and imagine a crossing, a very narrow bridge over a huge canyon, over a huge pit. It's very frightening. And what he's saying is, the important thing is not to be afraid. Well, what does that mean, not to be afraid? That can't possibly mean to arrest our emotions and our feeling and look at a scary and very dangerous situation going into it with laughter. No, I believe what it means is replace fear with readiness. Replace fear with readiness. Take that fear of not being ready, that fear of the surprise, the fear of shock, and turn it into readiness. And there is a certain sense of fear and readiness. I've talked to people who are, soldiers who are paratroopers, who always say that there's no question about it. There's definitely fear when they are packing and preparing their parachutes. If they didn't have some element of fear, then certainly a great accident could take place. They need to have a certain element of, you need to have a certain element of fear when you cross the street, when you get in your car. But is it fear that seizes you and grips you and stops you in your tracks, stops you from living? No, says Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Be prepared, be ready, be smart, be on the defensive, and then when you go into a situation that is frightening, there is a fear, but it is a fear that I'm in charge here. Yes, this is a scary situation, but I'm ready and prepared. That great lesson for Rabbi Nachman from hundreds of years ago speaks to us today, and especially now, minutes after the siren of the National Emergency Drill. Thank you for joining Communique. See you next time. Shalom.